Ye, the former rapper known as Kanye West, took out an ad in the Wall Street Journal to write a lengthy apology for his past anti-Semitic comments.
Ye has been mired in controversy because of his comments for several years. In 2022, he praised Adolf Hitler on Alex Jones' podcast, and last year he released shirts with swastikas on them and released a song titled Heil Hitler. Okay, now the 24-time Grammy Award winner is trying to make amends, says many of his inflammatory remarks actually stem from mental health problems that were caused by bipolar disorder. In the letter, he writes in part, "I lost touch with reality. Things got worse the longer I ignored the problem. I said and did things I deeply regret. Some of the people I love the most, I treated the worst. I regret and am deeply mortified by my actions in that state and am committed to accountability, treatment, and meaningful change. It does not excuse what I did, though. I am not a Nazi or an anti-Semite. I love Jewish people."
Now, Ye believes his bipolar disorder can be attributed to a brain injury that he suffered from a car accident more than 20 years ago. He says that brain injury was never properly diagnosed until 2023. As for his bipolar disorder, he says he was diagnosed with that in 2016, and he's often discussed the condition in interviews and in his music.
He ends the letter by saying he's doing better now and hopes he can eventually earn people's forgiveness. Social media lit up with reactions to the apology on Monday. Mark Dubowitz, CEO of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, writes, "I don't speak for the Jewish community, only for myself. Kanye West's apology is unusually moving and deeply self-reflective. Bipolar depression is a brutal illness. Perhaps anti-Semites like Carlson, Owens, et al., presumably without a medical excuse, will try some self-reflection." Former DNC chair Donna Brazile says Ye should place this ad everywhere, starting with black-owned publications. While there's more to discuss, this letter is incredibly revealing. Hate and other forms of bigotry have no place in the United States or anywhere else in the world. We must come together.
But of course, there were others who remain skeptical and aren't ready to forgive the rapper just yet. Writer Danny Gold says, quote, "He was doing this stuff way before 2025 and basically paved the way for Nick Fuentes with a massive celebrity endorsement. Kanye opened the floodgates in the early 2020s for what we're seeing now. Not good enough." I think we have to start with the elephant in the room. Kanye West has an album coming out.
Yeah.
And this is right before his album release, and he generally does some type of apology, sits down with somebody right before an album. And so that's my critical eye looking at this. And then on the other side of it, I do think that he's allowed to share his perspective, and apology is a good first start. I think he offended a lot of people, including the Jewish community, including the black community, back from when he went on TMZ talking about slavery was a choice. You know, I think that he said a variety of things that have been deeply offensive to a variety of people. But mental illness doesn't always explain a behavior. And sometimes when we conflate the two and say, oh, this shooter was mentally ill, or this person was, it's like, okay, mental illness does not make you racist. And so we need to make sure
I disagree
that
with
we
that.
are.
It does.
It makes you racist?
Yes, it absolutely.
I don't think that. I think
No,
that we need to not stigmatize all mental illness and say that turns. There's plenty of people that are mentally ill that are not racist.
Well,
And so
I didn't say it makes.
You said it makes you racist.
I didn't say all mentally ill people are racist, but if you go to a treatment center for mentally ill people, or you spend any time with mentally ill people, if you're on the street and see a mentally ill person, they will often be muttering racial slurs or obscenities against women or gay people or Jewish people or what. In fact, mentally ill people do borrow the language of hate and conspiracy from popular culture. That's why they're not yelling gobbledygook. They're yelling slurs and crazy things about the Jews or about black people or about white people. I mean, that's what you hear when you interact with mentally ill people. I'm not saying that's. Some people say like, oh, well, you're still responsible. So it's not, you can still say they're responsible because a lot of mentally ill people, there's a responsibility to take medicine that makes you not psychotic. If you take antipsychotic medicine, which may be the case with Kanye West, that when he's medicated, he is perfectly sane and understands the harm that he has caused to people. And then he goes off his med. This is like saying, you know, if you're a problem drinker, you shouldn't drink. And if you do drink, you really shouldn't get behind the wheel of a car. And if you do that, you can't say, well, it's not my fault, I'm an alcoholic. It's still your fault. So there's still plenty of moral blame we can place on people who act in a racist or otherwise harmful way when they're mentally ill. But the idea that like mental illness correlates with adapting and using language that is offensive for that reason. So I push back on that part.
Well, I think that, you know, I will acknowledge that the fact that when he got in that 2002 car accident, he had a lot of loss in his life after that, lost his mother, could have not been diagnosed properly. 2002 to 2026 is a lot of time for doctors to have new realizations about his mental health and his state altogether. So to find out this diagnosis in 2023 is fine, but I think that he needs to do a lot more atoning. This is one first step, but if we see some album rollout where he's now back on top and then goes back to his antics, and he paid a lot of money to take out this Wall Street Journal ad. It's not like a cheap thing to take out a full page spread. He wanted to do it in a way that no one could really push back, right? You can't write comments under the article. You can write them online, but the article exists in the paper and everybody reported on it. So he kind of got his version out and left it there. Didn't have pushback from an interviewer, just left it there. So we'll see what his next steps are. I think there's a lot of follow-up that needs to be done. He offended a large group of people, and so blaming it on mental health illness is what he wants to do, but the next steps are really important to see how sincere he is.
Right. Yeah. So let me be clear here. I accept and believe that he is mentally ill. I do. I think he has manifested many times over the years that he is a disturbed mentally ill person. That could be from genetics. That could be from this car accident. It could be from both factors or a variety of factors. I also think he has just been an ass on many occasions, and maybe that is attributable to the mental illness. But again, there's some responsibility you have, especially when you're someone who is so wealthy and has so many resources that they can take advantage of to help them cope with mental illness, including staying medicated and getting the appropriate help. So it's not, I think it is true that he's ill, but is not an excuse for his behavior. So he was right to apologize. I also don't think it means you should not appreciate his music if you happen to be a huge fan of his. I think you should separate art and artist. I have never been a particular fan of his music or really anything he's ever done, so I don't claim any ownership over him.
Not college dropout?
I'm not a fan. I'm not against you if you are a fan. It's just not my thing. That's fine.
That was a classic album.
Yeah, I'm not for me. It's fine. I wish him well, and apologizing is a good thing to do. And if his behavior is really good from here on out, I think it would be the right thing to show him to accept the apology and extend some grace toward him. He's been through a lot. But if it is just a stunt and he's going to be well behaved right now because the album's coming out, and then go back to being crazy because he's not taking good care of himself, that will be an indictment.
And we all would have fall for it if his album goes #1 and then he comes back out and nothing really changes. So I'm interested to see. Also, before we go, what do you think about the claims that he is like the catalyst for people like Nick Fuentes?
Yeah. I mean, he does. He absolutely has some responsibility for elevating Fuentes in particular because they had some friendship, and he brought him, like, Kanye met with Trump, they had dinner with Trump, and he brought Fuentes to the dinner, and Trump had no idea who it was. And so that was a bringing, elevating of someone who it would have been better had that person not been elevated. Now, Nick Fuentes is also very talented and has been successful on promoting his own show on social media, and, now I think is being promoted by foreign interests, but is also a compelling figure. I think his views are on many issues, particularly on racial issues and Jewish issues, are reprehensible, but he might very well have succeeded on his own too. So I'm not sure it can all be pinned on Kanye, personally.
All right, still to come. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is under fire from the Holocaust Museum for a comparison he made between ICE operations in Anne Frank. We'll be right back.